21, we are raising money for Save the Children, a wonderful organization dedicated to helping millions of children around the world. You can find links to donate below the stream. Thank you again to Twitch and ViewSonic for sponsoring this event. Now I'm going to pass it off to lattmackey as they show us Bonk's adventure.
Thank you so much. Hello, everybody, and good morning if you're in Europe. Good late evening or even early morning if you're still here in the States. How you doing? My name's lattmackey, and we're going to be playing some Bonk's Adventure on the TurboGrafx 16, and I'm actually playing on an original hardware PC engine. A couple of quick things to get out of the way, just so you understand what's going on in this run before I welcome in the commentators and everything like that. The console itself has turbo switches built in. So a lot of the strats you're going to see in this game are built around turbo, and they're totally valid. You're totally allowed to do that. It's totally legal. It's all great. These are what the games look like on TurboGrafx 16. They're awesome. They're like these little hue cards. This is one of the reasons it's fun if you like collect stuff like that. It's totally fun. You have a good time. We're here to raise some money. Hopefully we can raise some money during this if you're willing and able. We're trying to do this for a really great cause. Save the children. Feel free to join us. And I am excited to announce the commentator is going to be helping out during this run. Junko, how you doing? Thanks so much for joining.
Одна из консолей,
Thank you.
вот,
Like Vlad said,
которая была только в NFC,
Junko.
потому
Usually
что в
I
PAL
am behind the
регионах
scenes on the
консоль не
fundraising team,
продавалась.
but I am Lat's emotional support animal at 4 a.m.
Absolutely right. So why don't we go ahead and get started, because we've got about 30-something
Ну
minutes
ладно,
in front of us. Are we ready
Великобритания,
on the timer?
по-моему,
We ready
где-то
to go?
там в Западной Европе выходила.
I gotta start the thing. Hang on one second. Gotta wait for the title screen to join us here, and then we'll get going. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so Bonk's Adventure was like, it's the first Bonk game that came out on the TurboGrafx 16, and the casual gameplay of this is actually really fun. It's a really fun casual playthrough, really great sprites, a lot of cool sounds, all that good stuff. The speed run of it is even more interesting because going to be doing a lot of like spinning and things like this, where you boost off of spring flowers and things like that. And this happens all over this run, and with a little bit of luck, we'll be getting this a lot. So we'll see what happens and see how it goes. Thankfully, Junko here actually has done some work and can hit us with a little bit of lore. What's like the story and the setup for this game, Junko?
Это интересная стратка, но я сейчас попозже про нее расскажу, сейчас расскажу, что происходит. Это у нас Bonk, знакомьтесь. Это сильный и лысый, самое главное, пещерный мальчик, который сражается с динозавриками. Милыми, невкусными, не кушайте динозавриков, они вымерли. Динозавриками. И нам нужно спасти принцессу. Удивительно, да? На что игра похожа? Как бы, ну не подумайте. Простая. Да, нам нужно спасти принцессу. Вот.
Bonk, but his original name was
И
PC Boy.
Что за страта? Мы подходим к динозавру, динозаврик нас ударяет, и мы парим. Благодаря этому бустимся. То есть нас ударили, кажется, много мы летим.
Hudson Soft went out of business in 2011 while they were working on an Xbox 360 and PS3 reboot game.
Как вы поняли, то есть у нас единственная атака это лоб. То есть мы бьем не с руки, не убиваем прыжком врагов, а убиваем лбом. По ходу игры мы собираем мясо, которое нас бустит. Вот. Единственная спидран-стратка это то, что мы себя ускоряем благодаря... Ага. Вот тут интересно. Вместо того, чтобы проходить этот уровень, вот, мы оказались сверху, потому что когда мы упали, падаем вниз, мы совсем не падаем вниз, мы падаем на текстуру рядом. То есть мы не каким-то магическим образом там оказываемся, это просто, ну, обычный несложный клип, который даже не сложно было открыть.
And they do a lot of damage, but if we take a little bit of damage from these smaller dudes, we don't lose as much health and hearts going into the final boss here. And just like that, I'm getting real close to the first level boss here. And here's one of like the big characteristics and kind of like defining things of this game, and that is the boss fights, as you're going to see right here. This is Huey, first level boss. Gonna try to make some quick work of Huey here.
Короче, у нас есть мясная сила.
But the boss sprites are just ginormous in this game, and they're one of the things people remember a lot from playing this game. If you were lucky enough and fortunate enough to play this game as a kid, I was actually I had a TurboGrafx 16 growing up. Why did my parents end up buying my brothers and I a TurboGrafx 16? I have no idea, but I am forever thankful for them because I was the one kid within a 60-kilometer radius that actually had a TurboGrafx 16 in the house. So,
мы просто зацикливаемся лбом сверху, и она не умирает.
All right, we have $5 from Cam Popplestone saying shout out to Junko from Cam.
Hey,
thanks, bud.
And they put that towards the dark difficulty for Spyro the Eternal Night.
Ooh, I don't know if I've ever seen that before, but Spyro's a fun speedrun game, so.
And I guess I'll go ahead and just mention we are less than $50 away from $36,000.
Ooh.
And if anyone is interested, we are 2/3 of the way through the donation incentive to see Majora's Mask SRM. So get those donations in.
Please do. Keep them coming. So, folks, same type of thing here. And you'll notice when I try to spring boost off, sometimes I actually miss. So there's some weird, interesting tech that happens with these spring boosts. And that is that you can only hit them every other frame to get that big boost off of them. Memory Task, the person who has done the most recent task of this game, discovered that. And it makes it kind of interesting because sometimes you just flat out miss those spring boosts. And especially if they happen in the first level, depending on where your time is, usually just reset because, it's really tough to make up some of that time because you could go for like 10 seconds without actually hitting one.
Давай заново.
And especially being that we keep the turbo engaged as we're doing it, there's somewhat of a luck element to try to get those spring boosts happening on the first and second attempts. You'll notice that the smiley faces, you'll see them throughout the stage. They refill your health at the end of stages. And, excuse me, there is an optimal amount that memory actually figured out to get. And I don't remember exactly what that number is, but it's the optimal amount to refill your health and also not cause any extra time at the end of a stage. So you don't want to get too many of them. And here's one of the big things. You've already seen it already happen once. A lot of the game is routed around getting these big honking meats. And that is because, as you can already notice, you move a lot faster when you have giant meat. And so Bonk is, apparently a carnivore, and he moves a lot faster when he has full meat. So we want to get a certain amount of them, but not too many of them, because
когда мы побеждаем врагов, мы получаем такие очки и получаем смайлики, да? Вот, смайлы Бонка суммируются после каждой победы, да, над боссом. Это так просто про игру расскажу. Суммируются после каждого победы над боссом, и игроку даются дополнительные очки или поздравления. В том стиле, смотря сколько мы собрали этих смайлов.
Some of those weird actions happen there. And the reason we say the floor is lava, because if things go well, you're in the air spinning quite a bit because you can build up a lot of momentum. Uh-oh, this is going to be bad. Okay, so I'm going to miss a meat here, which is it's okay.
24.
Some other places to get it. Trying to do any enemy or like Bonk and Za lore that you might have discovered when researching this game?
Bonk and Za lore. Well, the one thing I can say, I did not believe you, enemy Princess Za, who's another speedrunner of this game. I did not believe you all whenever you said that that this was all kind of alien-ish, and I insisted. I thought this was just okay. He's a caveman. That makes sense. So clearly, everything must be these anthropomorphic dinosaurs. And then I read up on like Gladys alone, who's a stream favorite, and it's like, oh no, she's a ninja alien from Moonland. Like, okay, there goes my mind.
Yeah, so the game is like set, in this kind of cavemanish world, but it's actually it's an alien world, and so especially if you're playing this for the first time, that may feel a little bit weird or look a little bit bizarre, but I guess it sort of starts to make sense when you actually realize everyone's from a different planet, which is Moonland. So that'll make a little more sense when you get towards the end of the game.
The biggest sensical thing I can say that Hudsoft did with this game was choose the meat as the power up. Just because you look at Mario, what does he get the power up? He gets a star. What does Bonk get? Meat. We need meat. We are human. It makes perfect sense. I don't.
Как вы, наверное, поняли, да, что игра это тотальный референс на Марио. Как бы мы не шутили сейчас прошлые 3 часа со мной про Марио, про референс, точнее, не про Марио, то эта игра, ну, прям тотальный референс на Марио, вот. Вообще, многие платформеры пытались повторить успех Марио, но они всем запоминались по-своему, да? Так же, как и Bonk Adventure. Вот.
Player 1 was Bonk, Player 2 was a female version of Bonk. And I'm actually curious now. I want to see how well the arcade machines, some of the cabinets have survived.
Насчет здоровья, да, вы видите, что синее сердечко, это у нас... как бы нету здоровья, да? И в нем маленькие сердечки. До 3 собираем, получаем полное сердечко. Вот.
And I did play the arcade game that this game is based off of first, and it almost felt like playing a slot
machine. Здесь такой мувмент по лианам.
It plays completely different. The stages are very short. It feels like an arcade game or something that definitely wants you to put more quarters in. But it was fun nonetheless. Silly.
That makes sense why Konami owns the rights to it then.
Right, exactly. There's a couple things happening, as you've probably already noticed. There is vertical and horizontal platforming in this. Dang it, I did not mean to get that meat. That's just a random meat drop that there's nothing I can do to avoid it. And the only reason that I hesitate to say that it's any good is because the animation just slows you down at this point. Because we're about to get a big meat drop here in just a second.
Это войда, что сейчас упала, это рандомная штука. Вот. Она не всегда падает. Вот чем меньше здоровья у Бонка, тем он злее.
And Gladys is one of the if you're going to learn the speedrun of this game, Gladys is one of the bosses you definitely got to learn early on because she can kind of wreak havoc and really cost you a ton of time.
Кстати, у версии у этой игры есть еще аркадная версия, но она отличается очень сильно.
A little bit low on health, should be okay.
The nice thing about Gladys is
Аркадная
just when you finally learn her patterns and you've got it down and you're feeling comfortable, when you finally get there in a good run, she completely changes everything and all of a sudden you're either in the red or hitting reset.
Totally. And a lot of the things that you can't necessarily see on screen happening right now, but during this stage a lot, the turbo switches get turned on and off quite a bit. Didn't miss the first. That's fine. This will be okay. We still get another. There we go.
Boss.
Okay, we're getting a favorable pattern here. Didn't get the fastest pattern, unfortunately, but we do get one of the easier ones. So, but throughout the run, clog ripping, turning off turbo, all that kind of fun stuff. That's happening all the time. And the issue here is, these controllers, this one's over 30 years old. So try to take it easy on it as much as I can. But, old controllers and speedrunning don't necessarily always jive well together. So try to take it easy. I have gone through more controllers than I'd like to admit, but this is still the first controller that actually came with this console. So I was fortunate enough to find a PC engine in box. Not new, but in box at least. A few years ago when I started speedrunning on TurboGrafx 16.
That was a really good Gladys.
Yeah,
кстати, у Bonk есть 3D играешь.
Any practice went, so that's a plus.
All right, so that just
go ahead, No, go ahead.
So that just means Punchy Pedro is going to
wreck
your day.
So one of the things I'm going to try doing here is juggling with the.
Я бы, знаете, вот 5 секунд назад я думал, что это эмбрионы Бонка прыгают, а потом присмотрелся и понял, что это не так.
Unlucky meat drop. You can build up momentum by juggling your hits on enemies.
Категорически против своих
психоделических
мыслей.
Is increasing ever so slightly. Oh, we need that. Come on, game. Oh, come on. Oh, did that thing just really go away? Okay, well, we're going to do backup strat here. Typically, I would get a big meat there, but just in practice, I was using this spring boost, and it works really well if I get lucky. There we go. Oh, missed it by just a hair. But you can see how powerful some of those spring boosts can be if you get them in the right spot.
Правильно называют это спин-бустом.
And that happens sometimes. Oh, go ahead, Sean.
I was gonna say, for as many runs of this that I've watched of yours and of Zaw's, I wonder if anybody goes and digs through like some of the older game files of the old Persona games, because if you caught that at the beginning, one of the other devs for this game was Atlas. This is one of their earlier games, so it always made me wonder if there's any kind of Easter eggs in Persona, Shin Megami Tensei, etc. for Bonk that they can get away with without Konami like suing them.
Exactly. I'm glad you brought that up, because we were talking about that in my stream right before we joined the marathon here, because it's kind of interesting that, you know, this is Atlas's early work. I mean, who would have thought that Persona would have, you know, be a future game for this company after seeing this?
Now they don't necessarily make punishing games like Bonk can be. It's definitely a punishing platformer, but they just make very, very, very long games.
Oh yes, you need at least, what's Persona 5, around 100 hours at this point?
Something like that. The speedrun alone took an entire day at the start of ESA.
Oh man, well, great way to start off.
Something.
I think one thing that is pretty obvious at this. Oh no, that's not good. We're not going to be able to get we're going to get through this boss fast, but we're going to miss the super fast kill, which is okay. But one of the things I love about the Bonk games is, especially for this era, this kind of falls in the 8 and 16-bit generation, is the music. Oh man, that was a total mistake. Okay, well, we're going to do all 3 cycles of this guy. Why not? But, you know, Persona has some of the best music, you know, I've ever heard in a video game. And I think you could at least, at the very, you could tell that they knew how to put together a soundtrack.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And even, like, I've been going back since the Vita marketplace is probably going to shut down sooner than later, picking up the old Persona PSP remasters and going through and actually playing them. The music, even back in the early 2000s, late 90s, and they're just banger after banger.
This is actually a great time for a donation if you've got one.
Well, I was hoping I'd just let everyone know what we are raising money for.
Please.
That is Save the Children, who was the first global organization devoted solely to serving children's needs and securing their rights. They are often the first or only child-focused organization working in the hardest-to-reach places where it's toughest to be a child. As a result, Save the Children's teams have been proactive in preparedness for pandemic threats.
Yeah, folks, it's a good cause. I'm really happy that I get to help out and join such an important cause. If you are able to, please, some great donation incentives there. Got a bit unlucky where the meat bounced back. So this stage actually doesn't have any checkpoints. You're probably going to notice that right away, that it's just one long level. And first of all, I'm not quite sure how they do that. It's kind of interesting that they are able to do that. Oh, that's a good drop. Okay. These pterodactyls, or whatever they're called, are the worst. There's a couple enemies that I just despise in this game, and this is one of them. These things do 1 full health of damage, and, you know, we are going to get a heart piece here in just a second, but not get up fast enough. That's fine.
But you tried to tell me that birds are jerks?
Birds are jerks, and I feel like that's another defining characteristic of so many games of the 8 and 16-bit era, where it's just like, if there's not a-hole birds, apparently you're gay. You don't have a real game. Okay, so what I'm trying to do here is I'm going to be getting an extra heart piece, and also trying to farm for a little meat, because if we get a meat drop, which is somewhat luck based at this point, it'll help us get through the boss faster. That's unfortunate because of my health situation, but we'll see what happens. Oh, I missed it. So I'm not farming any of these. Okay, we're just going, folks. At this point, guess we're not doing anything.
Survive at all costs.
Yeah, apparently we're just going to keep going. I'm sure I'm going to take a hit here at some point. Oh, wow, we actually got lucky. I am going to take a health. So this is Punchy Pedro, another fan favorite, if you could say that.
Just because he's rude.
Yeah, exactly. Looks like he should have been in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, but ended up in a Bonk game.
So
I
do have a question for you, see if you can sort of shine some light for everybody in the chat. Just because I personally haven't seen it, but I've only heard the horror stories. NES Bonk.
Oh my gosh! So there is a version of this. This game was actually ported to a bunch of different consoles, not just the NES, but Amiga. If Dog Developer's in chat, there's some others too that he could mention. And the NES version, first of all, if you collect for the Nintendo, it's a very expensive game. I think it came out later on in the life cycle of the game, of the console. But secondly, it just sucks. Just don't play it. Don't even bother. Not worth it. I'm just telling you right now, I'm going to save you a few hours and a headache by just, you could pass that one up if you want. And this is coming from somebody who loves the Bonk games way more than any human should actually love the Bonk games. But that one you can totally skip. It doesn't have the turbo, but it still has things that you need to do where you spin and stuff like that. And mashing the B button, not nearly as fun as holding down a turbo B button. Let me just tell you. Okay, we're moving on to round 5 here. And one of the characteristics of almost every Bonk game that ever came out is that the last stage is like half the game. And that's the same thing that happens in this game as well. So this is technically the last stage of the game, but it actually takes on quite a bit of the actual speedrun itself and the casual playthrough. And what we're going to try and do is platform through this as fast as we can. Wow, that was actually a little bit interesting way. I don't normally take that way, but that was good. And we're going to be skipping some huge chunks thanks to some skips that existed in the game, and where some of these were actually, I don't know if they were found or discovered, but they were part of the original tasks of the game, so we've known them for a little bit. Some of our older strats. Interestingly enough, the very first submitted run on speedrun.com of this game was about 7 years ago by DK28, who, a speedrunner from a while ago, who I don't think he's been speedrunning anytime soon, but super thankful for all the things he did, because he actually had a fair amount of these strats in his runs, 7 years ago. And there's been a bunch of great competitions and rivalries going on in the scene currently. The world record holder right now is Great John, but before Great John took it back, we had Princess Za, that's her actual screen name is Za, and that's actually one of the characters in this game. So we've had some really great world records transferring back and forth between Za and Great John, and still doing it to this day. They're both still grinding the game, so it's been fun to watch.
It's been good.
Go ahead, Sean.
I was going to say, it's been fun watching the TG16 community as a whole grow in the last couple of years.
We've been having a lot of fun. What just happened there was the same thing as the Uber skip from like the first level, where you just hold down spin and you can jump on a roof. And that one's been known for a while, so it's kind of cool when Uber put that idea behind finding that skip in the first level. Okay, this room's kind of interesting. These statues do a lot of damage to you, so you want to hit them in the right spot, but you want to kind of climb up a little bit. They can give you a little bit of, there we go, some elevation. That was a good one. And notice my momentum increased a little bit. Now, I want to take that all the way to the end here, but if you hit these things in the wrong spot, they'll do a full heart of damage, so you can easily lose your life here. Ooh, that was a good one. And I'm going to skip that. Oh, that was a good sprinkler. So the luck in this game, interestingly enough, a lot of the enemies and things like that spawn in the exact same place. As far as like the randomness goes, there's not a ton in this game, but there is a little bit of randomness when it comes to your spin. And that's why it can get a little interesting, especially if you're just holding down the turbo and hoping something happens. So this is one I find this room to be one of the more challenging levels in the stage, and you'll see why. Those little skeleton guys, these little dudes, they take 3 hits to actually beat, so you don't really end up defeating any of them. You just want to skip them. But it's a little bit easier to flip the turbo switch off, so, once again, turning the turbo back on and off.
So what I'm getting from what you were just saying about, like, RNG and consistency and stuff, the only thing that's not consistent in a Bonk game is Bonk himself?
That's exactly it. There is a bit of randomness in some of the boss fights and some other things, but not a ton. Oh, geez, that's not good. Oh, no. Whew. Oh, man, that was a lucky heart drop. I'm totally taking that. Cool. That's exactly it, Sean. Okay, so we're going to do some more spring boosting here, and it's really challenging in this part of the game because you see those sprinklers. We have to avoid them at the same time while we're avoiding some other things. So, oh, and I got the good, see, bonk randomness there actually went in my favor, so don't always get that. I am going to take some help here.
A broken clock is...
Okay, so I'm going to pick up a little bit of a hit here, and then there's thankfully some health here. We can... There's not a ton of slowdown in this game. There was something, the TurboGrafx 16, the developers were able to really take advantage of everything the hardware had to offer. And when you play a lot, the console's kind of known for like shmups and things like that, shoot 'em ups, things like that. You don't see a ton of slowdown and lag in these games. And I always feel like that's because they were able to harness like the full power of the console, even though it's not a full, traditional 16-bit console.
Вы знали бы вы, как я хочу прямо сейчас поругаться, покричать, повизжать, но я за любовь и добро в этом мире, а мы возвращаемся к Bonk адвенчуру. Вот.
How close is it to the original PC Engine in terms of like if you wanted to run Bonk on there, say your controller broke, heaven forbid, what kind of changes would you have to make be able to run that in terms of like latency or anything like lag or anything like that?
That is a great question, and I was really surprised. First of all, it's really fun. The Mini, they did a really good job with it. That's not good. That was unfortunate. By the way, I'm going to answer your question in just a second here, but this stage, this room is the bane of all speedrunners. We have all lost runs to this room.
Вот весь ран у нас это платформинг.
Once again, there's not a ton of RNG in this game, but sometimes you have to be really precise with your
Вы вот не поверите, но мы сейчас 3 раза упали.
What's it called?
Да, ну ты действительно можешь ругаться.
The hitboxes of enemies is really...
Мы сейчас 3 раза упали на одном моменте, как очень неприятно. Вот этот платформинг, ап-платформинг, да, подняться наверх.
But to get back to the original question, yes, the input lag and all those kind of things compared to the actual console is inconsistent. For like a game like this, Bonk's Adventure is pretty much okay. It seems similar. Bonk's Revenge I found to be really different on the count. The lag was just, I don't know if they changed the input lag or something about that.
Like a Mario.
Rondo of Blood, it feels exactly like it does on a console. So I'm not 100% sure why it's that way. But needless to say, don't let that hold you back. If you have access to a Mini and you want to get one, I wholeheartedly endorse it. I've enjoyed every game I've played on it, and I played a few of them on there now. So,
while you're finishing up this hallway, I think that might be a good time for some last-minute donations.
Please.
Absolutely. We have a $5 donation from Suspect is Hatless, saying, "It's showtime, Bonk." And they put
Thank you so much for the donation.
They put that towards the Sega Bass Fishing bonus game.
Oh my God.
Which, by the way, goal of that is $1,500, and we are currently at $167.66. So if you want to see some bonus Sega Bass Fishing after Mario Party 7, get those donations in. It's going towards a great cause.
Okay, when this run is over, that's totally what I'm donating towards. If you haven't seen Sega Bass Fishing, you haven't seen Bass Fishing the way it was intended.
Просто вот позабирайте, сидеть, комментировать.
24 на 7, сидеть, комментировать. Please look away for just a moment, and I'll let you know when you can come back.
Всех тошнило.
Okay, you should be good. Welcome back. There's going to be a couple more times where we have some flashing lights issues, and I'll try to get there a little bit quicker than that one. Oh, geez, go in there. But we are heading towards a good old-fashioned boss rush.
You know, every good platformer has to have a boss rush.
Absolutely.
У нас тут плавают такие... плавают рыбки, да? По морям, по лесам. Вот. И мы их лбом выпинываем из их естественной среды обитания. Кстати, возлюбленная принцесса, да? Кстати, вы видели вот эту неуязвимость, да, еще одна механика, что когда зеленым покрывается Bonk, он неуязвим.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm curious if there's some sort of, I don't know, maybe these are the clones? No, I might be just making something up on that one, but I agree with you. What happened? What exactly went down in the course of a stage? Okay. So if you're grinding for a world record in this game, you actually want to take your meat power up all the way to the first hit of this glass, and it's really tight.
Всех наших прошлых боссов пройти босс-рашем.
Be perfect. You can't miss anything on the way over there. This oh gosh, what's this dude's name? I totally forgot his name. But his hitbox is one of the most challenging in the entire game. Why can't I remember his name? Oh jeez.
Is it our fish buddy?
This is Monkey Dude.
Monkey Dude. Okay, fish buddy's next.
Okay. So I'm trying to avoid getting hit. There's no power up way to beat this guy. You just have to grind it out like you would if you were doing a casual playthrough. At least that we know of. There hasn't been anything new discovered. But I am going to get some meat for Punchy, who is the last of the refights.
Знаете, вот что меня успокаивает, вот простите за возможность, да, высказаться, успокаивает вот это вот все происходящее, что я отвлекаюсь, что завтра зарплата. Я завтра куплю себе еды и буду сидеть целый день и играть во второй Dead Space или Dead Stranding, понимаете? Вот. И ничего не будет волновать. У меня будет спидран-марафон на одном из мониторов, Death Stranding на третьем и Discord Руска на четвертом. Я выключу телефон и буду сидеть. Понимаете?
There's a couple of translations.
You'd think after running this game a couple hundred times, you would actually remember the name of some of these things, but if you get to know me at all, you realize that when I'm speedrunning, for some reason, proper names just...
Я как раз себе заказал для своего геймпада envelope пойти.
Right, exactly, yes. I have to watch the credits. That was actually a really good fight. So what happened there is I got hit, and the way that the damage boosting works, it can throw you in one direction or the other. It actually throws you into the hitbox while you're spinning.
Есть геймпад,
whose hitbox is like the size of,
S или X, последний, короче, который с такой не очень приятной крестовиной. Вот. У него прикол, что он беспроводной в кавычках, потому что он от батареек. Я вот для него решил взять аккумуляторы envelope. Вот. Чтобы сидеть уже спокойно, не покупать батареек.
Flashing lights again, folks. If you are sensitive to flashing lights, now is the time to look away. I'll let you know in just a second when we get them back. Another staple of the 8 and 16-bit era, flashing lights.
Можно не надо, пожалуйста, задерживать меня.
Did they not know about photosensitivity back then? I don't even get it. Okay, there's going to be another flashing light.
Кстати, закройте глазки.
У кого
могут быть проблемы с флешем. Флешлайтами, скажем, яркими цветами и вспышками. Этот уровень с не очень улучшенным смайликом.
Okay, I got a good first cycle here. We're going to see two different versions of Drool here. The first one is this outline of the yellow. Okay, and if we do everything right, it should only take 3 cycles. Oh, geez. Okay, there we go. Now we're on to the second cycle. And we're going to take some damage as we try to get on top of...
Это last boss. У него одна атака. Да, он появляется в неизвестном нам местах. Нам неизвестно, да, него, естественно, неизвестно. Вот. Выглядит он впечатляюще.
And as a casual playthrough, that can be really frustrating. Oh, jeez. Okay, so we got stuck in a little bit of a...
это по факту просто большой динозаврик, который не очень гуманно перемещен. Пуляет нас трезубцами и большими шариками.
Oh no, I forgot to tell him. It's time. I should have given him a heads up. My apologies. And folks, that is some Bonk's adventure. One of the fun things about all of the games in the series is that they have some really fun credits and title and cutscenes at the end. This is Princess Za. You've replaced her crown. You've actually brought
Всё.
Moonland back together.
Всё.
And
Нет, не
apparently love
всё.
is in the air.
У нас с
Kinda
вами,
feels like
со
they
мной,
shoehorned a love story into this
еще
somehow,
3 игры.
but apparently they did. And one of the great things about this is they
Я
do
сегодня
go
целый
through
день
the
ваш.
credits and they give you
Ну,
all of the
почти
names of
целый
the
день.
characters and the developers and all that kind of stuff. This is Huey and some others. Sean, any final thoughts as we wrap this thing up?
Blaster Master.
I'm really thinking to myself right now if we think we should start a petition to get Konami to sell the rights of Bonk to Nintendo or to literally anybody that would be willing to make the game.
Okay, so for the thousands of you that are out there, if you at all are interested in this game, maybe we should start a letter writing campaign. We'll do it old school, just like it was back in the 80s and 90s. We'll start a letter campaign to get an origin story Bonk.
Yeah, and stick all the letters on the pachinko machines of Konami.
Just one quick shout out. If you're at all interested
Вот
in the
так вот, да,
TurboGrafx 16,
значит?
we have a wonderful Discord community.
Вот так вот, да?
It's not just
Мы
speedrunning, people
заговорили,
who enjoy
да?
it casually. We talk the hardware,
Вот
we talk
так
the
вот,
games. It's a
значит,
really
мы
friendly
заговорили.
place. Feel free to join us. It's on
Комментатор,
many of the
который
SRC
молчит.
and many of the speedrun.com leaderboards. If you just click on the Discord,
Эх,
click
эх,
out, ask
эх.
any questions, join in, and join us because we actually have a leaderboard for this game now. It's not just DK28 doing some damage. There's like almost 10, I think there's over 10 people actually.
Не, ну
So
это банан.
I just want to do a quick thank you to ESA. Thank you so
Я
much for
оскорблен.
allowing like a TurboGrafx 16 game. I know it's a small niche audience, but I really do appreciate the opportunity. And also, thanks so much for all of you that have donated and are making this charity marathon really happen. ESA is a wonderful event, and Save the Children is a wonderful charity that we should all support.
Да
So
ладно, я
thank
не
you
так уж
so
часто
much for the
отвлекался.
opportunities.
Я мог
Hope
и
you all have
почаще
a good
отвлекаться.
rest of your day, morning, night, and I will see you all later. Thank you so much for having me.
Follow lattmackey.
Always forget that.
And don't
Типа
go
рано.
anywhere because
2
we will
минутки
be
меня не было,
continuing with
ё-моё.
Blaster Master up next as
Я не
ESA Summer 21
рукоплодил,
continues.
я
Have a
работал.
great night because I too am signing out.
Ой,
Have you checked
бля,
out
какие-то в чате,